Are you ready to learn the horrifying truth? What if we told you that a startling discovery happened while one of the most storied rivers in the world vanished? A mythological old monster has been found in the region, and a long-forgotten river running for countless years has abruptly dried up. Follow us as we look into the startling discovery of Gilgamesh, the legendary hero of Mesopotamia, and the perplexing disappearance of the Euphrates River. What enigmas will be revealed? You'll regret it if you miss out on this one, so let's get started. Gilgamesh was a legendary hero in ancient Mesopotamian mythology and the main character in the Epic of Gilgamesh, a famous poem written in Akkadian over 4,000 years ago. He might have been a real king of the Sumerian city of Uruk, and after his death, he was considered a godlike figure. A German-led expedition said in 2003 that it had discovered what was thought to be the complete city of Uruk, along with the mythical ruler's ultimate resting place. Before the Euphrates River altered its course, the city would have been encircled by water at this position. The chairman of the Bavarian Department of Historical Monuments in Munich, Uruk, said, "I don't want to say definitely that it was the grave of Gilgamesh, but it looks very similar to that described in the epic." According to the tale recorded on a pair of clay tablets that had been inscribed, Gilgamesh is claimed to have been buried under the Euphrates in a tomb that was likely constructed when the waters of the ancient river divided upon his demise. Due to the story's recording on clay tablets, it has survived. According to Mr. Fassbinder, we found the remains of such a building just outside the city, in the middle of the former Euphrates River, which could be interpreted as a burial. He recounted how technological developments had made it possible to make the amazing discovery of the ancient city buried under the dunes of the Iraqi desert. The names of the rivers Tigris and Euphrates may be found in several ancient historical documents and even included in future forecasts. Since the beginning of time, these rivers have existed. In the lowlands, in a region known as Shat al-Arab, the Tigris River merges with the Euphrates River and eventually empties into the Persian Gulf. The Euphrates River is a short distance away from this place. These two rivers provide the Fertile Crescent, an area of the Middle East renowned for its fertile soil and regarded as the birthplace of civilization, together with the River Nile in northern Africa. Both rivers are widely recognized for their ties to Mesopotamia, a region in the Fertile Crescent between the Tigris and Euphrates. Another name for Mesopotamia is the region between the rivers. Ancient scriptures, like the Bible and the Hadith, refer to the Euphrates and Tigris rivers during creation. Another indication of how old these rivers are is that they are mentioned in predictions about the world's end. The Tigris and Euphrates, two significant rivers in the Middle East, are now experiencing some of their lowest levels ever. Both rivers might dry up entirely over the next 2 decades due to human activity and climate change. The ecosystem in the immediate area has been significantly impacted by the river's decrease to the point that it is no longer navigable. Numerous plant and animal species, most of which are extinct or endangered, may be found in the Euphrates River basin. Some species have been wiped off due to the depleted water supply, and their habitats have been destroyed. Because the river has been allowed to run dry, the region's biological balance has been disrupted. The river is also crucial to maintaining the area's ecological balance. Despite this, the drought had some good side effects, most notably in archaeology. The Tigris and Euphrates rivers have produced several artifacts going back thousands of years, the most significant of which is a city built 3,400 years ago. This community emerged from the waters of the Tigris River after the water levels in the Mosul Reservoir, which is situated in northern Iraq and was once known as Saddam Dam, decreased earlier this year due to the severe drought that is now occurring in the region. More particularly, the reservoir in Mosul. Ruins and artifacts from the Mitanni Empire period of the Bronze Age, or about 1550 to 1350 BC, have been discovered by archaeologists. They also think that the urban core, home to enormous structures and palaces, may have been an earlier city named Zahiku. The Mitanni Empire was once a very wealthy nation, comparable to Assyria, Egypt, and Babylon. It ruled the northern Euphrates-Tigris area, extending from northern Iraq into Syria and Turkey. Nevertheless, it gradually started to fall and was seized by the Akkadian Empire. A class-based society existed in this kingdom, and the class in charge was known as the Marianu. The invasion and takeover of their country's land by nations near them accelerated their downfall. These kingdoms sought to lessen their influence over the significant trading routes they had. Despite being made of unfired clay, the city was astonishingly well preserved and lasted underwater for more than 40 years. This is because archaeologists mapped the city quickly out of concern that the water levels in the dam might start to rise once again. The city that was discovered in Mosul Dam was destroyed by an earthquake in the year 1350 BC. The 1980s dam building increased water levels that finally flooded the city. More than 80 historical structures, some of which are prisons and cemeteries from the ancient city of Telbas that date back before Christ, have been uncovered by the Euphrates' receding waters. Old building remnants may be found at some of these locations. The Telbas jail, according to Shafakna Persian, was once a collection of Assyrian-era graves. Despite the possibility that their survival may be in danger someday, rivers continue to be fruitful. In a significant victory in the fight against the illicit trafficking of cultural objects, the United States of America formally handed over the 3,500-year-old Gilgamesh tablet to Iraq. The restitution of this valuable artifact is the result of decades of cooperation between the United States and Iraq, both of which are signatories of UNESCO's 1970 convention. This convention provides countries with the legal and practical framework to prevent illicit trafficking and ensure that recovered cultural items are returned to their rightful place. The return of the Gilgamesh tablet is not only a victory for cultural heritage, but also a symbol of international efforts, led by organizations like UNESCO, to combat the illicit trade in ancient artifacts. It's worth noting that the theft and trafficking of ancient artifacts have been significant funding sources for terrorist groups and organized criminal organizations. The United States has recognized the importance of preserving Iraq's cultural heritage and has worked closely with Iraqi counterparts and various institutions over nearly 2 decades to protect and honor Iraq's rich cultural legacy. The Gilgamesh tablet, made of clay and inscribed in Sumerian, is a fragment of the Epic of Gilgamesh, which contains stories paralleling those found in the Old Testament. It's among the world's oldest known religious texts. The Shatt al-Arab River, formed by the confluence of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, finally drains into the Persian Gulf. On its approach to its confluence with the Tigris River, the Euphrates River passes through Syria and Iraq. Turkey is where it first appeared. It is the longest river in Western Asia, measuring around 1,740 miles. The Euphrates River is seen in Mandean scriptures as a tangible depiction of the Yardna, or river, that runs in heaven. In what is now known as Mesopotamia, the ancient cities of Babylon, and Nineveh were all located along the banks of the Euphrates River. Particularly in that section of the globe, the Euphrates played a significant role in developing human civilization. The river has acted as a natural border between several governments and empires throughout history, making it a location seen as both important and problematic. The Old and the New Testaments of the Bible include several references to the Euphrates River. It often appears as a significant landmark and serves as a reminder of the might and grandeur of former dynasties. The Euphrates River appears twice in the Old Testament, referencing the Garden of Eden and where humanity first appeared. It is also recorded as one of the 4 rivers that sprang from Eden after the creation of the Garden of Eden. Furthermore, the Israelites were forbidden from crossing the river since it was the natural border of the land that had been given to them. The discovery of the Gilgamesh statue was pivotal in learning about Mesopotamian history and mythology. Gilgamesh is one of the most well-known figures in ancient Near Eastern literature. The Euphrates River is listed in the New Testament as one of the places where the kings of the East would gather their armies before the Battle of Armageddon. One of the mentioned sites is this. In the book of Revelation, the river is also said to have dried up so that the kingdoms of the east may march over it unhindered. Only a few publications that are not in cuneiform make mention of Gilgamesh. The flood story from the Gilgamesh epic, which George Smith first identified around a century ago, remains the most obvious connection between the Hebrew Bible and the Mesopotamian epic story. However, further connections exist between the two pieces of ancient literature we study today and the biblical narrative of the flood. The name of the brave protagonist of the Gilgamesh epic may be found in a text from the Dead Sea Scrolls known as the Book of Giants. We may think of Gilgamesh as the grandparent of all the other heroic heroes, both ancient and contemporary, who have followed after him since he is the brave protagonist of one of the world's first epics. The Epic of Gilgamesh, which originates from ancient Mesopotamia and is considered a literary classic, tells his story. The epic is centered on the journeys of the mythical Gilgamesh, who was depicted as reigning over Uruk about 2700 BCE. A key moment in the growth of our understanding of the ancient Near East was the recent rediscovery of the epic. It was also a turning moment regarding how we would move ahead with studying the Hebrew Bible. Gilgamesh was a popular figure across the ancient Near East and beyond, as shown by the fact that his stories have been handed down through the centuries in various formats and tongues. That's all for this video. We'll be back soon with another informative video. Don't forget to like and share this video. Until next time!